Let's go, boys.
Let's go.
Let's go, boys.
Let's go, boys.
And welcome to another episode of Life Chats. How are you? That was the intro this week. How are you, Mike?
I'm good. Before we go any further, Adam Gary. Oh no. Is a gem. Adam Gary is a gem, I promise.
You forgot your own shout out.
Oh, I remembered the name, so timestamp that, Adam. Thought you had to wait a while.
Well, not only are you shouting out your other friends, but also, I don't know if you noticed that I'm wearing your gift from last week, so thanks, Mike, for being...
I left my thank you. I left my Golden Knights hat in the car. So
well, that's well, thank God we're not a hockey podcast anymore. But yeah, no. But you know what? Speaking
what
of
a meme that's become. Go on.
oh man, digs, man. So you know what, man? I came to you with this idea because I've been looking into this stuff, and it's like kind of terrifying.
You know what? Yeah,
low-key terrifying.
A little bit.
So I, like everybody, saw Facebook change their name to Meta. And I still think that the reason they did that partially is just the branding of Facebook is just so tarnished that they needed to just save Instagram and Facebook and WhatsApp and say instead of Facebook company, it's a Meta company. So I thought it was more like a PR move. But I think what Facebook wants us to think is that it's the branding is to reflect their desire to extend into what they're dubbing the Metaverse, which is interesting. Now, you and I have watched a lot of, television, movies, science fiction, and I feel like, you were saying that this reminded you of one of my favorite movies, and a movie that you didn't like, WALL-E. You were saying that...
I didn't care for that movie.
No, I mean, it's one of my favorites. But yeah, you were saying that...
also a Black Mirror episode, but yes, go with the WALL-E thing.
Well, no, because like, what does this make you think of, like, in terms of pop culture that we've seen, like, Black Mirror and WALL-E?
Not so much... I'll talk about the WALL-E thing. It's just because... You know how they said in the future we're going to be fat slobs in chairs just living vicariously virtually? I could really see that being a thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't know too much about Black Mirror, but I was like, this just sounds like a Black Mirror episode plot. And having experienced some of this Oculus, virtual reality, whatever you call it, I can really see how people can get really lost. And the fact that we're dubbing Metaverse and Realverse kind of scares me.
It's terrifying.
And I just want to few things here with like this virtual reality versus augmented reality. With virtual reality, you have a headset on, right, and you're fully immersed in a different world. What augmented reality is you can see the world around you, and you bring a digital experience to the physical world around you that you can see or hear. So a lot of that, like virtual reality, augmented reality, like I wanted a differentiation about that. But having lived it a little bit, it's kind of scary how easy you can lose yourself there. Because I've done like I don't play video games that much, but I'll do an hour. I've done the hour on an Oculus. I've done an hour on VR.
So what has been your? So you were saying that it was. So when you're saying that you've lived it, what kind of what kind of experience did you have with these?
Not so much like talking with other people, because I don't like people I know. Like I don't really like strangers. You're cool though.
I hope so.
And Adam Gary's cool.
And he's cooler, yeah.
That's two, buddy. Come to Boston Pizza or what? Anyway, I've done a couple of games. Like one was Star Wars, and you're either you're both the Empire and the Rebels, and you're on these ships and stuff, and you look around you 360, and you see nothing but space, and it feels so real. And I've done a few VR, but Iron Man as well. I did Iron Man VR, and when I was telling you, when you're falling, you actually feel like you're falling, mm-hmm. which is weird because you have both feet on the ground. But you do an hour or so of that, and you get back to the real verse, and I could see people, like not so much me, because quite frankly, I have a busy life, but for people who spend hours and hours testing this stuff and mm-hmm. researching this stuff, I could just find it, like we have problems with the internet now.
Right.
This is just...
In terms of like problems with just being like glued to Instagram for an hour.
Yeah, and people, you get those weird, if I had a kid
Yeah, knock on something.
If I had a kid, I would never. This wouldn't be a thing. But with all the weird people out there and trying to take advantage of others, this just opens the door for more of it. And I could see people who are spending more and more time on these things just completely be so enveloped in this metaverse that it does take them away from the real world. Like I could easily because I love Star Wars, but I could easily feel myself, like if I really wanted to, I'd probably be in that chair 2-3 hours and then thinking like I'm in space. Like if anyone asked me, have you ever flown aircraft? It's like, well, a TIE fighter.
Well, I think what's going to be interesting is that, like you're saying, for someone like you, it might not be as big an issue for transitioning from the digital metaverse to the real verse.
Sorry.
It's like Digimon.
Like they pulled you in, like in the Digimon movie?
That's it. Mark Zuckerberg, we see the inspiration behind all this now.
Yeah.
But I think what's interesting about what I'm seeing with all this stuff is, we're seeing this, I think with the, so I think what I was going to say there, was, because when you look at people right now who are playing World of Warcraft, as an example, and they invest so much time into making their character look a certain way, all these avatars and everything that you get online.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting that the pivot is going to be, the avatar is going to be you. And I think that that's going to be enticing for some people just to live some of their lives in this fictional, fake reality.
Or is it? I mean, we have catfishing. I saw Ready Player One.
What do you mean you're not the Iron Giant? What the hell, man? No, but it's.
I've seen Free Guy. Like,
you know what's up.
Yeah, I know what's up.
You know what's up.
Yeah, it's like you say you're a 30-year-old female, but you're a 70-year-old man. Oh, I'm just saying.
Oh, yikes, dude! Yikes. Okay, let's look forward to Story Time with the CAC.
Oh, that's
episode 2.
Oh my God!
Just kidding.
You were saying.
I don't know if you can say that despite all this, is there going to be a migration and an adoption of this technology? Because the way I look at it is you're not going to, you can't, who knows? At the moment, you can't work in the metaverse.
Right now.
You need to be able to still put a roof over your head somehow, unless you're living with mom and dad. Because how do you live?
Yeah.
Whilst being uploaded into the ether.
Well, you know what? It could. You bring up an interesting point. It could open the opportunities for building land and property in the metaverse and selling like NFTs using Bitcoin as a currency. I think of Dwight from The Office, like. What is it? Second Life, when Dwight is so upset about his actual reality, he creates a second life, and then that one's so bad he creates he goes deeper into the Matrix. You should try and do a TikTok with that. Shout out to that. But so I think I think there's potential. Look, you know what? With cryptocurrency, with Bitcoin, no matter whatever it's called, however you want to quantify it. It just opens the door for so many possibilities now, and I could see real estate actually being a thing. Like we have people like obsessed with Animal Crossing and decorating rooms and sharing it, and
The Sims, things like that. Yeah,
I don't see how this is that much of a leap, to be honest.
Well, okay, so there's already a market for it. There's already people who would probably use this technology now. I think we're well in the infancy of this technology for us to really say that for it to be as convincing as real life. I think we're just still at that Second Life level of...
Well, it's in its infancy.
Yeah,
so
it's more like a cartoon versus
right now.
like reality. But let me ask you this, man. Do you think that this could be what people envision uploading their consciousness to an internet is? Like, will you ever really die? If you just put yourself in this?
Well, you'd have to somehow, like, I don't know, I was thinking of Man of Steel, like Jor-El's consciousness in the computer. You will, because if you die in the real world, who's going to be using your avatar? Who's going to be playing as you? Unless you sell your avatar or whatever. I don't know. Unless you make yourself an NFT, although I don't know how you do that. I don't know.
But you could easily just make, an NFT of a voice recording of yourself.
Yeah.
And you can create your own world that if the technology gets to a point, this is all speculation, but if it ever were get to a point where
you're galaxy braining this, okay.
Yeah, like if you can upload your actual self into this one day.
Oh, that's away.
you're sitting we're talking about Matrix stuff.
Yeah, basically. You're saying that your avatar eventually will have its own autonomy and go out into the metaverse and do things.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't know if that's a reach. But there's implications, man.
No,
if the technology gets more
sophisticated,
yeah.
Maybe in our lifetime. I could see possibly in our lifetime. We'd be probably old and gray at that point, but I could see that maybe being a thing. Didn't think about that before, but yeah.
Well, you
live on in the metaverse.
Well, because that's what all these people want to do. Is that no one? I don't want to die. You don't want to die. Mm-hmm. If there is an opportunity for us to catalog, the internet was made to catalog and archive resources, books, information. The metaverse could be an archiving of our actual selves, and I think that would be an interesting experiment if the technology catches up to these ideas. Where at this point right now, we're not.
Well, and people were making fun of like the avatars right now, kind of looking like Mii's from Nintendo Wii. That is eventually gonna get better and improve as the years go on. So, of course, right now it's in its infancy and they're making strides, and it's only going to continue to develop. I mean, you look at video games from 10 years ago and how much more realistic they look now. It's not that much of a leap to think that this stuff is going to be improved massively within a couple of years.
We'll know if the money's there, and
I think it will be though, just because of how quickly like all that cryptocurrency and stuff and the NFTs have been taking off. Like I feel like if someone's going to find a market to profit off that, they will.
So how would cryptocurrency be used in this metaverse?
I wish we were talking. I don't know. I wish we.
That's a whole other.
That's a whole other thing.
Conversation. Yeah.
Like bringing all that stuff. They have NFT museums and stuff already. Mm-hmm. Like they have their own galleries, and you can. I don't know if they charge, but your avatar or you can go in there and look at this person's NFT gallery.
It's
nuts.
It's crazy.
You looked at it. I mean, we've been talking more negatively about it, but the robots are going to take over.
Bloom and all that good stuff.
Robots are going to take over.
They already have. No, but yeah.
But you had a positive thing about this, about entertainment.
Well, so right now, like you're saying, it's not as convincing as real life is. So we already seeing companies invest a lot of money into virtual real estate, all this stuff. We'll see how this technology evolves. But what I was saying with the positives of this technology is I look at this metaverse not as much of a place where, and it will have the application that people want to live a life, because websites like Second Life were made in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So there is an interest, and there will be a market, and there will be some people who will they hate the way they look, they hate the way that certain features are, they want to change this about them. What better way to do that than in interactive?
Ladies, a guy says he's 6 foot, you meet him in person, he's 5'6".
No, he's 5'11", bro.
My bad. Yeah. Sorry.
But some of the positives that I'm kind of looking at this technology as are entertainment, immersion is where I see either I'm projecting what I want out of this, or where I see there being a niche for this. Mm. For example, you put on your Oculus goggles, you put on a pair of headphones, next thing you know, you're transported to the Sistine Chapel, and you're walking around it, and you're hearing the Gregorian chants, and you're able to touch and interact with the environment, but it's just like a Google thing. Or you put on a pair of headphones and a goggles, and the next thing you know, you're sitting in a crowd of 50,000 people at a Miley Cyrus concert. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, the applications of this, I see that as being an immersive, entertaining thing. Like, I'm watching movies like this, consuming entertainment, consuming media this way, in just a completely insulated vacuum. That would be crazy.
That'd be like watching Spider-Man Far From Home, but with 360-degree.
People are freaking out over IMAX. Imagine that as being like, that's like
crazy.
Like I'm looking at this metaverse stuff, and I'm thinking, it's interesting how the technology is catching up to the point where we can even dream of having these things.
Yeah.
Now, Michael, do you see where do you see this technology going? Where do you want it to go? What do you want out of
I'm
such a
old school traditionalist. I don't want the robots to know anything. That's the other thing is, like, people were getting upset about Facebook and the privacy and stuff. Like, this is just going to accentuate all the problems that we've had with all that, and Facebook withholding information and whatever. I'm a pessimist, so I'm just thinking of the worst. But to the other point is there is going to be some entertainment value out of it. Of course, I mean, I do think of the Digimon movie. The more and more we're talking about this. But I mean, where would I like for it to go? I mean, I don't know. It doesn't matter what I want. If I've learned anything in 2021, it doesn't matter what I want.
If you learn anything from your life, is that you never get what you want.
So, all right, it's okay. So, but we deal with it. So I think some days better than others. But I think it's going to just be so immersive to the point where I think people are going to struggle. Or I don't know. Maybe it could help people work on their interpersonal skills. Maybe.
Well, let's lean into the negative angle, because we can wrap this up in a few minutes. But let's lean into the negative angle for a little bit here, because you're saying that it's to a point where there will be people who will opt to run into this social sphere.
Yeah.
To interact with friends across the world in a more immersive way than like a chat room or
I look at Twitch and people making so much money off Twitch, and it's just like there's a market. There's gonna be a market. People are gonna start, if they haven't already, start cultivating a following when this becomes more mainstream. When Oculuses aren't so expensive and they're more, you can digest more of the costs. I just think that there is eventually going to be money made there. So of course ads are going to pop up the frickin' wazoo. So it just seems like it's going to be a whole other world, like underground. It's a lot like Ready Player One, too, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where I think it's going. But also on the entertainment side, I think there are games where you can go actual space or Paris, France, and just walk around there. It kind of looks silly if you're watching someone just walking in like a circle, or even now Oculuses, you don't even have a specific space where you can walk around. You can walk around anywhere. Just make sure you don't have any furniture around. Because it's like, I'm walking on, like, let's just say I'm going Central Park in New York. Da 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 da. Boom! Oh, I hit my shit on a chair.
But can you imagine that all you need is a treadmill, and you could just plug yourself in and walk infinitely, and just
that's interesting.
That's interesting.
That's
as an example. But what kind of what reservations do you have? What would you tell people to be weary of with this new
kids? If you somehow coax your parents into getting you an Oculus, don't give your information out to strangers or your friends in the metaverse. I mean, we have a hard time doing that now in the real world. I can't imagine, people. When deep cut here. When I had a YouTube channel, my first year at Brock, I was just reacting to things. People knew my whereabouts, and I didn't have my name on there. I just had my username, and somehow, they were able to pull up information about me and shit like that. So, just to the kids out there, just be very careful, and to parents, be wary, okay? Because there are going to be dangerous people out there that are now. Let's just give them another outlet to. Now, I'm all about getting a sense of community, but that is a problem where I can see things going south, and it'd be cool to have like chat rooms and like you're standing next to an avatar from like New Zealand or something like that.
You're sitting in
there's always going to be pros and cons, but I just think that for me personally, it's not something that I'm going to venture too much in. But I would be very careful. That's all I'm going to say about that. Hey, it's back.
Well, I think one thing that I want to mention to that is you're talking about how easy it is to steal information.
Yeah.
Like the whole I'm a prince and I need you to send me this money, or you get text messages saying it's a CRA. You can tell that's a scam, right? But we talked about it in a previous episode how you can be in a relationship with someone that you've actually never met online, right?
Yes.
Imagine how that would change if you can actually interact with those people. If you can actually have a relationship in a virtual space.
Wow.
But there isn't any application in the real world because you can just unplug and you're out. But you can literally have a different version of you existing.
Or, okay, say you have a girlfriend in the real verse and you have a girlfriend in the metaverse. Is it considered cheating if you cyber kiss somebody? Or maybe more.
Because if you're having a relationship with somebody, I don't know. But
hey boys, girls, watch out. We just opened a whole other playing field of cheating.
Mikey's coming.
Mikey's coming to steal your girl. Let's go. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, neither do I. But no, I think no, I'm kidding. I think what I see this metaverse being for me, because there are so many things that I'm more of the optimistic side of this. When I first started watching videos and reading articles about this stuff, I'm thinking, oh my God, this is going to be the end of the world. No one will ever want to leave their house. No one will basically ever need a reason to leave their house again. Yeah. So I was reading this stuff, and I was a little scared at first. But I'm looking at this from I'm actually kind of excited for not so much living a second life or being able to, interact with people. Like you're saying, I have enough people in my life that I don't really need to meet strangers in the metaverse and all this stuff. But what I would rather see this, and what I would use this technology for, is for traveling, especially at the time of COVID. If you can feel like you're skiing down down the Swiss Alps, and you're in the comfort of your own home, and it can feel as realistic as possible. You're saying you can jump out of an airplane as Iron Man and still feel like some of the vibrations. Yeah. You're in the star. And again, all this stuff is in its infancy, so we'll see how everything turns out. But that's where I am excited for this technology, where I just want to see it go. Rather than just me being, okay, well, I'm going to spend 8 hours of my day in this virtual reality. Yeah. But then you're blurring that line. What is real then? I don't know.
And you're not going to be able to take photos for Instagram, but that's fake too. So
Yo, shout out to the Cloud House at Oakville. You know who you are.
Randall Residences. Let's go, baby. Let's go, girls, because we don't see guys there. We're not seeing boys.
No, this was a really
this is insightful.
With this being out in the world right now and people are talking about it, and Facebook. Like what their vision of this is that's what I think is terrifying to people. And I think that's where you're getting
because we can't trust Zuckerberg anymore.
Well, no, because you're talking about what Facebook wants the metaverse to be. Yeah. And that's terrifying.
Right. Yeah.
What their vision of it is bad.
Yeah.
Advertising, information stealing, all that stuff is negative.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it from more of from developers taking this technology, like Facebook. If this does take off, Facebook is going to be infinitely wealthy from this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If this is going to be, and companies are going to buy their information and buy the software to develop programs and other aspects of the system, and they're paying Facebook a royalty for using that software, Facebook is going, and then ads and everything else. It's going to be insane. The company's going to be so rich.
Yeah.
But we'll see what happens. But anyway, let us know what your thoughts are on this.
Before we go, quick plug. We just opened a TikTok account. Be on the lookout for that. It's called, what's it called?
It's, I think it's Life Chats
92.
It's going to be right here.
Okay.
So check out for that.
At life_chats 92 for those who
believe that at Life Chats is already taken.
That pissed me off.
Man,
that was like, what?
That's kind of a bummer.
Whatever.
So feel free to check us out on there and let us know your thoughts on, are you excited about this proposition of a metaverse? Is this something that you're going to be like, it seems kind of boring, or are you going to be interested in spending time there?
Are we too paranoid, or are we too paranoid?
I think we maybe are. A little bit.
I don't think we are that much.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.